Hey folks, making a quick video about a topic that I've been thinking about a lot, and I was actually commenting on another user's channel about this very thing, and it's about hand gestures in when it comes to non-humans, which you would consider some that I would consider to be reptilian in nature, whatever. But as we all know, we're surrounded by beings that aren't as they appear. They're not human, right? They are masquerading as human beings when in fact they're something else entirely. And for a lot of them, I've come to learn they are utilizing a system of super advanced technology and what you would consider almost to be magic, right? Which reminds me of a quote by Arthur C. Clarke where he says that any form of super advanced technology to the untrained mind or to the lesser being would be indistinguishable from magic. And I think in a lot of ways that's where we're at, right? Because a lot of these beings have been around for thousands of years, so they've had a long time to perfect some of this stuff. But for a lot of them, you're dealing with gestures, different hand signs, which a lot of times they use for communication between each other. But what I've learned is a lot of it has to do with their own, like maintaining their own illusion, right? They kind of have a sphere of influence. They're kind of maintaining that bubble of illusion. And I've noticed that certain hand gestures they do, it either it affects them, it affects their ability to shapeshift, their ability to hold their form, something akin to that. It also has to do with the manipulation of people around them, because I've said many times this is a cerebral game. You're dealing with a mental manipulation tactics. It's a battlefield of the mind, right? So a lot of people are under this vast illusion, right? So I think one of the main components to this is the fact that basically most people are under a spell, okay? And they have to continue to put in the work and the effort to maintain this spell and illusion. And this spell extends in many different ways, and it also is, condensed down to like a localized area, like dealing with us individually, So I think sometimes, you really need to be aware of not only these beings, but like, what are they doing with their hands? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes they use these hand movements, these hand gestures, to invoke specific feelings, reactions, emotions within us. They're using them to manipulate us in different ways. I actually would refer you to a video that, if you just YouTube like Beyonce handler, it's really interesting because it's at some basketball game, and Beyonce is with Jay-Z, and Beyonce is like kind of sitting off to the side, but she's going into like this deep trance, right? But if you pay attention, like it looks like she's just spaced out, but if you really pay attention and look behind her, there is a woman who is clearly making hand gestures, signals, and those signals are directed directly at Beyonce, like the back of her head. And maybe it's a coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidence, especially at this point in my life. But it almost like that woman behind her was like some type of handler, and she was programming her. You know what I'm saying? And that's another aspect to all this. You're dealing with, a lot of us have handlers. A lot of us have people, these beings who are assigned to us, and their entire job is to maintain our position within the matrix. They're to make sure we don't wake up individually. That make sure we don't wake up. Whether it's to throw us off the trail, verbally, emotionally, whatever, or to literally try to trigger us through mind control tactics, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big part of it. But also too, I do believe, and I can't prove this because I don't know for sure, but I do think that they use hand gestures to change or to manipulate their own illusion, whatever they look like, to keep that illusion going. Like if it starts to falter, they do certain things to, keep it going, or to, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain, but that's basically how I kind of can convey it. Because there's a few possibilities, folks, and like I said, I think that a lot of it is technology, in which you would consider to be, magic, black magic, whatever. But also, too, I think you have an aspect of this where you're dealing with highly psychic, powerful psychics, beings that are incredibly attuned to that state of mind. And what they do is they basically use their powers on you to make you think or see something when that may not be what's there to begin with. You get what I'm saying? Like, perhaps there are some, or perhaps there's a part of this whole thing where it's like, maybe you were looking directly at a non-human being, right? Maybe there was no technology involved, and maybe all that being had to do was utilize its mental powers on you to trick your brain into thinking that you were looking at a human being. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us are beginning to wake up out of that, and they're having to come up with new ways and new strategies to keep this illusion going. See, that's a big part of it. And if enough people wake up, like, it can't help but to collapse, because so much of this is based on the manipulation of our own collective brain patterns. But, that's just my crazy thoughts and theories or whatever, because a lot of this I can't necessarily prove right off. But just always be aware, and especially when you feel like something's not kosher about a person around you, watch their hands. Pay close attention to their hands, because it might give you some invaluable insight. Anyway, take it easy, guys.